That's right! Welcome to the side of the ring because it's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen, so without further ado, we're just gonna checking in on Drew McIntyre's contract situation. A PW Insider Relief report says he hasn't signed a new deal with WWE. Unless that changes, McIntyre will be, quote, free and clear to sign anywhere right after WrestleMania 40. Now, in the beginning, I thought that this was because of the whole merger situation. And now, the merger situation, is long done, it is well past, and he's still not signed. I have literally no idea what it could be that is stopping him. I have no idea. I've asked this question before, I've tried to speculate before, I had a couple theories, and now I literally have no idea. Now I'm at the end of the road, and I have I'm turning around now. Like, I don't really know what it could be. It doesn't really seem like they're having any type of, like, arguments or disagreements or anything like that. He's on TV. He's challenging for the title. It sounds like he's going to be in the Rumble. It sounds like they're going to carry him all the way through Mania. I'm not 100% sure why he's not signed. They're not putting in any of the storylines. No one's talking. Well, you know what I mean. Like, they're not mentioning this. So I don't necessarily know what's going on here. I'm a little bit confused as to what could be going on here. Maybe it's some sort of, like, personal thing, because I mean, he did mention that, like, he's having some stress with his family because, like, I think it was like his one of his family members passed away recently, and he was affected by that, right? In reality, in real life, he was affected by that, and then they put it in the storyline in kayfabe. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't 100% know. I mean, he's getting the Mania because he was off for 3 months, right? So I don't know what's gonna happen, and it's right after Mania, so maybe he's gonna wrestle and then just, I don't know, go to AEW. I don't know. I genuinely do not know. So I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do with this, and maybe this is all part of like a big WrestleMania storyline type deal. I don't know. So we're gonna go ahead and see with this one. Moving over to AEW, when the AEW rankings went away last year, it was CM Punk who talked to Tony Khan into getting rid of them. At least that's what Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez was told. Do the rankings really matter, though? I mean, let's be honest here, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, if they were still here, then they would play a role in the storyline. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. I feel like now, with the way AEW is going, the rankings really don't see... First of all, they really don't seem to be making a difference. I mean, they did mention, before Hook fought Samoa Joe, they did mention that he was 28 and... I think it was like 28-1 or something like that, or like 28-0 or something like that. So it's kind of like WWE. The rankings kind of like are here today, gone tomorrow type deal. Are we really missing them? Like, I'm not really hearing anybody, jump up and jump up and get down for the rankings. You know what I mean? Maybe if they were still here, then maybe more people would be talking about it. But I personally am not really losing my mind about them being gone. They still are there. They are. If I remember correctly, they do show up in the header in the lower third when the wrestler does come out. But I think that's about as far as they go. The announcers don't really, well, I mean, yeah, no, the announcers do mention it. They do. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to see if I can remember a recent instance where they did actually mention, like, oh, no, I think the only time I can remember is when they would put it up in the header. At least for me, I don't really remember them fully mentioning it by name. But again, I mean, is it really that big of a deal? Is it really like life or death for AEW? I feel like AEW's got a lot more to worry about right now than just the ranking system. So I don't really think it's a gigantic issue that it's not there anymore, right? I mean, they are still putting it up again with the headers, and if I remember correctly, they are mentioning it in on commentary. So like, it's not really a gigantic issue, So at the end of the day, not really that bad. Moving back to WWE, WWE had discussions with Tama Tonga when his NJPW contract was up last year and remains interested in signing him now, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. Tama Tonga would be an incredible get. He's an incredible wrestler. He has had an incredible career in NJPW. I highly doubt that he would have to learn a whole lot, after being in WWE. I hope that they're not going to give him the Jade Cargill treatment, where he's just perpetually in training limbo, and we never see or hear from him. He's a main event star. You can throw him in any main event scene, you can put him up against Roman Reigns. Like, that's how much confidence I have in Tama Tonga just by seeing him, basically like run Bullet Club the whole time, really. Like, I'm sure that's what he did. Either way, right? He's a great wrestler, and I think that he would be a fantastic fit in WWE. Now, I've talked about this a million and one times. He would also be good in AEW. He would. I can't deny that. If anything, I feel like he would slot in a little bit easier with AEW, whereas WWE, I think he'd be a little bit he'd be a bit more obscure with the casual fans, and I feel like with AEW, they're a little bit more hardcore, they know a little bit more about wrestling, so they'd kind of warm to him a lot faster than WWE casuals would, but at the same time, I feel like WWE would definitely do him well, right, and they would definitely big him up and, sell him properly. So, again, I feel like WWE would also be a fantastic spot for him to sort of, slink into. But that's down to Tama Tonga. That's down to if he actually wants stand-up signing. So, if he ends up doing it, I can't wait to see what they have in store for him. Moving over to TNA, Shawn Spears was among talent visiting backstage at last weekend's TNA taping in Orlando per Fightful Select. Spears lives in the area and was visiting friends, but was also seen, quote, with Scott D'Amore for about 20 minutes at gorilla position. Mason Mansoor were also at TNA's most recent taping, as was an indie wrestler, Alex Zane. Fightful says all three were scheduled for meetings with company officials. So right now, Mason Mansoor, Alex Zane, who was Ari Sterling in WWE on 205 Live. I didn't know that. Then you've got Shawn Spears, right? Did I say Dolph Ziggler? I think I did. So you've got a lot of people floating around right now, right? Sort of making themselves known. Well, we're not going to say Mason Mansoor making themselves known, but behind the scenes, behind the curtain, yes, they're making themselves known. Shawn Spears is also doing the same thing. I don't remember off the top. Oh, you know what? I don't think he is signed with AEW anymore. I don't think he is. His contract ended last year, if I remember correctly. I'll look that up, but I'm 85% sure he's not with AEW anymore. So there's a potential chance that he could sign full-time with TNA, right? And you got Mason Mansoor. They'd be fantastic in TNA. I would love to see them in TNA. I'd love to see them anywhere. I think they're great. But I feel like TNA, especially with what TNA's got going on, what they've got in the pipeline, that'd be great. Now, I don't know where Dolph Ziggler is going to go. Dolph Ziggler seems like he's kind of doing what Mustafa's doing. He's kind of, working everybody, moving here, moving there type deal. So, listen, wherever he decides to go is wherever he decides to go. But I'm really looking forward to just TNA. Just broad, just TNA. I'm excited for what they've got planned. I hearing the fact that they got Shawn Spears, Mason Mansoor, Dolph Ziggler. I think Mustafa Ali may be showing up at some point down the line. They've got stuff in the pipeline, right? And it definitely bodes well for their future and just for all of 2024, in the next, we're going to say 5 to 6 months. I can't wait to see what could potentially happen, right? And hearing that Shawn Spears and Mason Mansoor and Alex Zane as well, is a great wrestler, okay? Multi-time indie wrestling champion. I know that that's not a specific promotion, but he's moved around on it. GCW, PWG, he's been in NJPW, right? He's a really good wrestler. He's been all around. So again, he's also a fantastic get for them as well. The point is, okay, TNA's cooking, all right? TNA's definitely cooking. Finally, on Busted Open Radio, Santino Marella said TNA is, quote, working on a deal with, quote, a big television network. Once that happens and they're on, quote, a channel that everyone can see, then the promotion will, quote, change gears and blow up to the next level. So like I said, okay, TNA's cooking. TNA's going crazy right now. You got Alex Zane, right? Did I say his name right? Okay, Alex Zane, right? You got Dolph Ziggler making waves, right? You got guys on there already, like Mike Bailey and Moose, right? You got Mason Mansoor on their way. Shawn Spears is backstage, hanging out. Scott D'Amore is doing, at least as far as I can tell, he's doing great. Getting TNA, back to what it was in the early mid-2000s, right? Really hammering home the fact that this is not the same TNA before. This is not being run like a bunch of clowns. This is not being run by a bunch of clowns, okay? That we are going to do this right, and this is going to be on a major TV network. Now, I don't know, CW, TV networks. I don't know. It really depends on their financial standing and who is willing to put them on what time slot. You know what I mean? I'm not a businessman. I'm not their accountant or their financial advisor. I don't know, right? So all I can really do is sit here and speculate and hope and dream, that whatever TV network that they're on. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to be on a TV network. That's not really the question. The hope is that whatever TV network they're on, a prime time slot, and they're on a TV network that gets in a lot of views, because that's what you want, right? You want a decent amount of people tuning in at a certain hour, and you want your show to be within that certain slot of peak viewership, right? You don't want it to be on a late night 11 p.m. type deal, because no one's going to watch that, right? And I feel like they know that. I feel like that's I feel like they're gunning for a decent slot, So I have all the faith in the world with TNA and Scott D'Amore, especially from what I'm hearing and the way that it's being showcased. I don't have any worries right now in regards to TNA. I think they're going to do fine. I think that just overall, they are really going to hit their stride if they can land this big TV deal, which sounds like a for sure right? Which sounds like a guarantee. I think that by the end of the year, we are going to be talking about a lot of big plans and a lot of big matches and a lot of big debuts and shocking moments, okay, coming from TNA. So if I were you, I would definitely keep my ear to the streets about TNA. What do we talk about? Drew McIntyre still has not signed with WWE. To this day, I have absolutely no idea what it could potentially be. Again, I had theories, but I'm not 100% sure. The rankings went away with AEW. I mean, they didn't go away. They're still if you want to look for them, you can. They are there. I think they're just not really being mentioned, and they're not really being incorporated into storylines as heavily as they were before. But they are still there. I can definitely guarantee that. I've seen them recently enough to tell you with confidence, yes, they are still floating around. They're just it's like pulp. You can't see it. But if you look for it, it is there. Okay. WWE in discussion with Tama Tonga. They're planning on signing him. Again, great get, fantastic wrestler. I am only going off of the whole Bullet Club thing that he is doing, but the fact that he's been doing it for so long, and they were planning on signing him even before. They were planning on signing him, while he was still with NJPW, right? So, it obviously is a testament to his talent, right? So, again, great get. Hopefully they do get him, right? In the report of Kazuchika Okada's impending free agency, Fightful Select notes that there's no ill will between Okada and New Japan. The door will, quote, likely always remain open for him to return. That's good to know. Good to know that they aren't upset with him. And, like it said, there's no ill will. And, if he ends up going back there, then great, the door is open. Shawn Spears, Mason Mansoor, and Alex Zane, and also Dolph Ziggler, they can't rule him out, are kind of floating around TNA right now. TNA is also working on a deal with a big television network. So, like I said, all of that, TNA is cooking. TNA is going absolutely bonkers right now. Really trying to hit the ground running right now, and I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I am so excited for what they have in store. The year just started, so man, the sky's the limit for TNA. So please give them all of your energy, and here's to them signing with a gigantic TV network, and they're on a fantastic time slot, 7 or 8 o'clock, and man, just viewers and sponsorships galore. Okay, so here's to that, folks. That's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.